good morning and thank you for allowing me to come up here again.
Good morning, Troy.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you in Jesus' mighty name and we want to thank you for today. Thank you for those that are here. Please bless them. You know those that are not here today and the reasons for it. There are many, many reasons. We pray you guide them this day. You are with them and that you would give them strength, give them encouragement, and may they get something from you in any way. Because you're everywhere and you can do all things. Lord, I just pray that whoever would hear this message will hear from you. That you'll just use my mouth to share your message and your words today. And in Jesus' name we all pray. Amen. Thank you. Okay, first thing I'd like to say. Yes, you might have seen, we're going to talk about the kingdom of God, but one aspect of the love of God today. So let's start with something simple. I've got some joke for you. Knock, knock. Son. Son of God is here, let him in. Knock, knock.
Who's that?
Son.
Son who?
It's Sunday, first day of the week, first day of a fresh day. It's going to be better this week.
Right.
Knock, knock.
Who's that?
You.
You.
Oh, you're celebrating already. Well done. I think that was from God because it's popped on my head late last night. Okay. All right, just want to read you a story. You may have heard this one, which is what Nigel was referring to just a moment ago. It's his story. So if you've heard this, bear with me, but you'll see where we're going with it, no doubt. So I'm just reading from an article. You may have seen it. Is it best to fight fire with fire or kill them with kindness? An Australian named Jared Wall decided to use tea instead, after overhearing two women in a coffee shop having a racist conversation about Indigenous people. He sent them a pot of tea and this note. Grace? If you can't read that, I'm going to read that. Enjoy the tea. Compliments of the two Aboriginals sitting next to you. Table 26. Now, when he heard the two women making negative remarks about the Indigenous Aboriginal people of Australia, Wall, who is Aboriginal himself, could have gotten understandably upset. Instead, the kind note he sent them has gone viral, and Wall has received worldwide attention for his generous handling of the matter. They were elderly ladies. I didn't want to humiliate anyone or cause conflict, he told Mashable, the article, right? Expressing more respect than the people who he bought the tea for. But apparently that wasn't the end of the story. Wall went on to appear on Australian TV's The Project Monday night and mentioned that after the incident he had visited another local cafe where another unrelated couple sent him a pot of tea to thank him for his act. So there should be more people like you. The note read. And on 7 News Sydney, Wall explained the reason behind his seemingly small but impactful gesture. I didn't want to sit there and do nothing because then nothing changes. So I'd read that a little while ago, and when I was just trying to hear what I wanted to say today, brought that back to me. And the beauty of the internet, I could Google it and found it again. So I'm not sure, did anyone hear about this? Yeah. I just thought, wow, there's definitely a message in that. So you might have gathered, as per the title that we're talking today, we're going to talk about a topic you've never heard about before, God's love. I don't think we can hear enough about it. So we're just going to touch base on it again, and we're going to come back and talk about the tea at the end. So one of the reasons that this message came to me was I'm going to work one night. Some of you may know about In Touch Ministries. I was listening to him going down to work, and he was talking about the passage I'm referring to today. And just one of the things he said, as we all know, is love is such a big topic in the world, certainly with God. How many songs have we written about it? It just goes on and on and on. But over the last couple of weeks, let's just recap what Nigel's been saying. Over the last couple of weeks, he's been telling us to pick up sticks, just keep pushing forward, keep picking up the sticks, keep going, even when it seems hopeless or pointless. He spoke last week on the inevitable outcome that might happen when two kingdoms collide. We were reminded that we are soldiers in God's kingdom and that we need to push in for our King, keep going forward despite the knocks, despite the opposition. He even went as far as suggest that we need to go to a spiritual gym or a boot camp. And that bit That's pushing it. That's pushing it. And the reason for that was to prepare us for battle. But I want us to remember that the battle we're talking about is not a physical one. As I was going to read to you the Ephesians 6:12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So the battle starts here. Every day, every moment. Hence why I was saying, let the Son of God in when we start the door. It's a new day. It's a new week. It's constant. It's never going to stop. I've said before, He won't leave us alone. You will win a battle, as we will through Jesus, but He comes back again. He's stubborn. So it's a constant battle. That's where our spiritual gym, our boot camp comes in handy, because that's where we need to strengthen to be able to continue to push through the many things that are no good, that are rubbish, that are bad, that are evil, that are not fair in this world. So how do you fight? Like Jesus, not like the world. We do it with love. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Lovely. It's not. And it's not easy. And we know we need the help of the Holy Spirit, and we need to work with Him. He's certainly got to do much. But so do we. That's been a big thing I've been learning over the last, I suppose, long time. But certainly it's been coming up more recently, maybe the last 12 months or so, that we do have things we've got to do, and that's where Nigel's referring to the boot camp, to get us for the part we've got to play. So let me just read you a verse you've known and heard, 1 Corinthians 13, what the word's saying about love. Not that the word says much about love, but let's just do this one today. And we could talk about this for a long time, but we don't have that much, so we'll just touch on it. So this is the New King James Version. Love suffers long. That's the first bit. And is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now I said to Nigel, you might have just heard the exaggeration there, and he mentioned it earlier, the word all. That's actually where my message was starting. I did a quick search on all, and I decided that's not for today. You should see how many times that word comes up in the Bible. Obviously that's a very inclusive word. But that particular verse, when I heard it recently, reminded me, God uses that a lot. Okay, and if you start to break up what love is, it's not saying some things, it's not saying put up with some stuff. All. And of course it goes on saying love never fails. And later on it says, when it compares, and now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. So clearly, when you go through that verse, love is action. So what I thought we should do before we go on is go, okay, you've got the idea of love, you've got an idea what that's saying, we've got the gist, that's a lot of things. And it's not all of it, but it's a good summary, isn't it? And if you think back to what Wall did for the cup of tea, you can certainly pick up some of it there. He was obviously kind, obviously suffered the disrespect that was being shown to his people. He wasn't rude, did not seek his own. Surely it would have been of yourself to want to say something or defend yourself. He wasn't provoked, he thought no evil. He certainly bared it, hoped, and certainly endured it. And the word endurance, as we know, ties in nicely with boot camp. Usually means it's not pleasant, it usually hurts. So it's all tying in with what Nigel's been saying. So before we go on, I'm just going to now go back and just, you might have heard this before, but I thought it's timely that it was for me to read it again. This is just some of what the description of the word love means in the context of that Corinthians verse from the Strong's Concordance. This was just a few of them. I just thought these are the highlights that tie in with what we're talking about today. Love can be known only from the actions it prompts. as God's love is seen in the gift of his Son. This is not the love drawn out by any excellency in its objects. That would fit in with what Wall did with the cup of tea. Clearly, the behaviour of those women was not excellent. So it wasn't motivated by who they were, what they were doing. Christian love, whether exercised toward the brethren or toward men generally, is not an impulse from the feelings. It does not always run with the natural inclinations. Nor does it spend itself only upon those for whom some affinity is discovered. So again, that seems to tie quite nicely with what that verse was saying. And I thought, when I read that, I thought that tea example just fits this nicely. Prime example. So it's for everybody, not just the Christian brother. And you don't have to feel like it. It makes me think of, Jesus probably didn't feel like coming to the cross. Yet he did it. And he did it with all the things, obviously, with the motivation of love. And this is some of the description we can comprehend. He had the motivation of others as his complete goal. Certainly the one does not seek its own. So surely seeking your own would have been, I'd rather not do this. I'm going to read that message again from the message. I'm going to read that scripture again from the message after we've just discussed a little bit more about what that definition of love is. Love never gives up. Never, another absolute word. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut. Doesn't have a swelled head. Doesn't force itself on others. I thought that's good. Isn't always me first. Doesn't fly off the handle. Doesn't keep score of the sins of others. Doesn't revel when others grovel. Takes pleasure in the flowering of truth. Puts up with anything. Another absolute word. Trusts God always. Absolute words. Always looks for the best. Never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. It's exhausting just reading it. And so I can see, to me, when I read that again now, I thought, that's exactly what Nigel has been talking about. We must need spiritual muscles. We must need boot camp. Because that does not come naturally. And we can't do it ourselves. We definitely need God. But there's a part that he wants us to do. And it starts by being aware of it. And it starts by practicing it. Yeah. Hence the boot camp. Hence, go out there and do it. We're not always going to get it right. So there's 3 points of guidance I'd like to cover for this week. I feel the first thing we need to really know, and the first thing I think one of the first things you can say that Jesus had before he would do what he did, and I would dare say before Paul did what he did, you've got to know that you're loved. You've got to come from a place of complete security in that knowledge. Because without that, we're just not going to have the strength. You're not going to last. Nigel's already touched on the verse this morning, and you all know it. John 3:16, the classic one. Let me read it from the King James Version, sorry. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. More absolutes in there. Big demonstration of God's love. Anyone know Josh Groban, the singer? Yeah, I came across him a little while ago. I hadn't heard of him before, but he's got a song. I don't know if that is the title, but one of the main verses is "You Are Loved." I don't know whether he's a Christian or not, but it's a perfect Christian song. I think about God every time I hear it. I'm going to sing it. I'm not going to sing it. Google it or buy the CD. But he basically says some of the words are: "Don't give up. It's just the way to the world, and then you are loved." That's some of the words in there. There's more words to it. I just thought that's just perfect for what God is. Now, one thing that came to me, this is personal, And when Nigel talks about boot camp, I mean, obviously we don't necessarily like it. We don't necessarily like the gym. Don't. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I've been, actually came from my father a lot, and I understand why he says it. There's often, and I think he's not alone in the view, and there'd be a lot of reasons why people say it. They think you've got to toughen up. And I've never liked it, and the more I learn more about God and just see about things and have experiences, I'm thinking, well, I don't believe it's right. Not the way he was saying it. I think he's leaving stuff out. I think it ties back to what I'm just saying. That's fine when you're ready to go there. I think I'm picturing it as a little kid and child or something, and you know that's where content often is. You know, you've got to push them out there. They've got to toughen up from the bullies and stuff like that. And there's an element of truth to that, I believe. But they can't do it until they know they've got protection, until they know that they're loved and they've got some strength and inner peace. And that's come to me, and I believe it fits in with what God's saying here and what the example we have through Jesus. Because otherwise, if you're just going out there and getting hurt, getting damaged, and they're just here to toughen up, I think that's another problem for the world, to be honest. They don't know they're loved, they don't know that they're accepted who they are, they don't know about God. And obviously, as you know, there's so many hurt people, the enemy's having a field day, comes at everybody, and so it makes them hardens their heart. And so they think this has got to toughen up. And obviously some people seem to. Maybe some people can do it, but it's not God's way. They're unable to. I don't think they can love. They can't do what Paul did. Can't do what Jesus did. They might cope. So I really think that's where the spiritual gym is coming in. Start with, we've really got to just, as it always is, it's between us and God. Start there, here. Only when this is right. That's going to be a constant battle. Hence we have to keep going to the gym. We have to keep battling. So we're not always going to get it right. But if we can do that, when you're getting to those places, then you go into the battles and you go win.
That's good, Sean.
That's a nice example of T1. And there's all these other examples where you can be loving and you're not going to get that response. When you're doing the right thing, or it's not going to have, you're not going to get rewarded for it. And then you've got to be at peace, because you know you're doing what God wants. You know your value to God. We're not looking for it from people. If you get it from people, fine, there's nothing wrong with that. Because that's part of the point of this. That's obviously what the gospel message is about. People are supposed to be drawn. So that's the first thing I felt. So I believe, yes, there is toughening up, but it's toughen up to do love, not toughen up as in put up rubbish. Not just accept it. That's my personal take on my life and what's been said to me and what I think God is saying or what his examples are. Hopefully you can get something from that. So when people say just toughen up, I don't know they mean it in that way necessarily. It's just the way they look at it. But take it, okay, the message you're saying is, I've got to handle that. And there's truth to that. But plenty of verses tell us that, we're going to have trouble. So they're not wrong, but I don't think that's good enough. So you must know you are loved first. And the second point that ties with all this is the greatest commandment. Matthew 22, 36 to 40. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, you shall love, there's that word again, that's an action word, not feelings. Obviously feelings are coming, like Nigel says, they catch up. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, there's those absolute words again, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbour as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and prophets. Not much more we have to say, is there? Prime example. So again, get to a spiritual gym. The more we know where we are, know how much we're loved, we can do this. Number 3 is we're going to have, as we know, we're all struggling, and the reason we have to go to gym and boot camp and we keep going, and because the battle continues, is we occasionally might fail. Shock. It's actually happened to me. So we need to encourage and help each other. And there's plenty of examples of that. But it is easier if we have someone to help, just someone to guide, someone we can fall back on. We obviously have the Holy Spirit, we've got Jesus, we've got the Holy Trinity. And the unholy Trinity that Nigel referred to last week, me, myself and I, that's part of where the battle's coming in. That's part of this battle. Okay? So Holy Trinity is the one you want.
Yeah, not the unholy.
Not the unholy one. Okay. So we have them always. But we do need physical people. We're in this physical world. And hence it's a good thing that we're here today, or you're listening to this today. You need to hear the words from God.
That's good.
You need to be encouraged. It's one of our main jobs, and that's one of the loving things to do, is encouragement.
It is.
Now, an example I've got on that one is, some of you may know, on Friday last week, the Little Athletics Club. Now, we've been going for Joshua. They've just started an adults one. You see what I'm going with this, don't you? Joshua encouraged me to join. I'm a bit sore. If you see me walking around like that, you can see why. I did a big tumble with long triple jump. I wasn't going to do it, but there you go. God had other minds, and I actually did it once successfully. The first time, not so much. But anyway, what did happen is the last event, which I was hesitant to start with on the first week, was an 800 metres. Exactly. That's a long way.
Okay, try it.
We'd only just, the way it worked out, we just did the 100 sprint. And that's fine, I survived. And the heart's still going. And then lined us up for the 800.
Alright.
No rest, no
Sounds
rest.
like boot camp to me.
It did! And so away we went, and I did the best I could. I wasn't first, I didn't try to be, and I wasn't last.
Oh, good.
And after a bit of time, I tried to pace myself. I know that Joshua says you can't race, you can't sprint for an 800. I had trouble with 100. And so I'm jogging along, and then finally, some people behind me, we're all still in their place. And then I catch up to a little one, young boy. He's not here today. I didn't realise it was him until I got there. And he's about 10, and I said, oh, hello. I didn't want to talk to him too much, because that's a wasting valuable breath. So we stopped talking, we both started making lots of other noises. And I decided to stay with him. Oh, more importantly, I think he was encouraging me. I thought, look, for me, he doesn't do this. If I can keep up with a 10-year-old, not bad for week one. And so we did, and I think he sensed I was doing that. Jogged all the way around, we got to the last 50 metres and then took off and left me. Good for him. But anyway, the point being, I felt encouraged to keep going. I wanted to stop quite a few times. But because he was next to me and doing the race with me, encouraged me to keep going. And I really think that's a prime example of that one.
That's good.
Another example God gave me was, as you all know, tug of war. Could be like you and your friends, the unholy trinity, the enemy. To do the right thing, to do the loving thing, everything wants to stop you, pulling you the other way to God's way. So it's a battle, constant battle, and sometimes you're going to possibly fall, or one of you might fall. And so we need to pick each other up. Like it says in Ecclesiastes, though one may be overpowered by another, circumstances, whatever it might be, two can withstand him, and the threefold cord, is not easily broken. So there's power in working together and helping each other and encouraging each other, because we're human, and we're going to occasionally fall. And God knows that. So we need to speak life to each other, and always speak, and not only for yourselves. This is where the spiritual gym and the boot camp comes in. If we can get that right, we can then pass on those wisdoms, that word to others.
Yeah.
Even if we don't feel like it, even if we're struggling with something, because we probably will be. But the Bible does say there are verses that suggest, that those that are in a better place can help those that are not.
Right.
So there's that as well, which is why I want to be in a better place as well. But there's times when you might not be.
Yeah.
But the point is, it can be as simple as, I know there's a lot of things going on with a lot of people right now, and you know about some of it. We've got to, and I'm trying to do it myself, don't focus on what's happening right now. Don't focus on you can't see it changing. Don't focus on when's it going to end. Don't focus on it's so easy to say what's next. And I've done that. It's just bringing it on, really. So, and there might be something. I'm not saying that. But what we need to do is go. We don't know how long it's going to be, but we do know because God is with us. We do know it's a time. And if you focus on the fact that we've already won, yes, we're doing these battles, and yes, we've got to do the boot camp and things like that. It's all going to help us. All it's going to do is make it easier for us to walk through the victory that we already have. Because like Jesus said, we're going to have trouble. He overcame the world. Follow him, follow his ways. He will help us, and we will overcome the world too. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have trouble. Doesn't mean it'll be easy all the time. But I just think it's important that we just be able to look past, even though we can't see how it's going to end, or we can't possibly know the outcome necessarily, or it might not be what you think. We just got to have the vision that this is the time. And God's using it. That's been helping me a lot to go, look, some of you know there's certain issues, meetings and committees and various other things, and I'm thinking, God's doing something with it. Whether it be just teaching us something about how to do things and not to do things, I don't know yet. But if you go with the attitude, this doesn't make sense or this is not pleasant, yes, but God will use it. Like Nigel said, he wastes nothing. So if you have that attitude, you just do the best you think you can, what you think God wants you to do, be loving.
Be loving.
You're doing the right thing, God will use it. You may or may not see the fruit of it yourself, but God does, that's all that matters. And it will end, and it will, I suspect usually God will reveal. At some point, it might be a long time away, what it was all about.
That's right.
So we need to make love a habit,
Yep.
which is part of going to the gym and boot camp. I love that word. So yes, and habits take quite a long time. I started to Google that and I thought, messages long enough, that's all right. And there's some people used to say that the psychiatrist or psychologist said it was often 21 days to change or make a habit. Then they said there's massive variances in people, which makes sense. Then they said it's more like 66 on average now. That's probably old now. I don't think they know, to be honest. I think there would be a lot of variances. There might be an average of what a group of people might have averaged to. But I think even when one article I read said some people did it in 20 and others took 119. So we're all different, so we can't go expecting, oh, I did it in this long, so you're going to. So if we keep that in mind, because that's another thing to help keep you going, get back up when you fall down, is that it's going to take time. You're not always going to get there first time. You've got to keep going.
That's right.
Bottom line is, not same with these things, they're not based on feelings. You're not going to feel like these things. As I said, Jesus wouldn't have felt like doing what he had to do. But that love and action drove him through it all.
That's right.
I mean, most of us, I mean, this might not be the best example actually, but generally speaking, most of us brush our teeth every day even if we don't feel like it. Or we brush our hair. There are things you have to do if you don't feel like it, even if you don't want to. Like your bum. So that, in some ways we have to make love like that. Second nature, don't have to think, doesn't matter how you feel, you do it. So I'm just going to read the words from Jared Ward in closing. Went out for lunch today. Food was great, but to our misfortune, we inadvertently heard two elderly ladies seated next to us chatting about Aboriginals. The conversation was less than distasteful, with words like assimilation thrown around willy-nilly. I could have unleashed a tirade of abuse, but that wouldn't have helped. Instead, I did something nice and bought them a pot of tea and left a little note on the receipt. Maybe these ladies will be a little wiser and think before they speak. Hopefully there won't be a next time. So that cost him, I don't know if you saw the receipt, $5.50 for the pot of tea. Probably more than the financial cost him the sacrifice of being loving. Okay? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was black tea. But look at the result. It is worldwide viral. And the comments he's got, I started looking at some of them, it's on Twitter. It just goes on and on and on and on. Support from all over. A cup of tea, and wherever it was. So, a challenge for this week for you is to see if you can bring a testimony next week. I'm not looking for something that has to go viral. That's great if it does.
We can put it on our website.
Yeah, you can go on the website, that's what that page is for. It doesn't have to cost you money, because not everybody's got $5.50 spare, to be honest. I know that. It doesn't have to cause you trouble, but it's the attitude, it's this love and action, whatever it might be. It can be even those already in your life. I'm not saying you have to go and dig something around. Having said that, obviously that's good purpose of what we're all about here, what this is saying. We're supposed to be looking for opportunities. There's usually plenty. Like I said, it can be small things, or checking out person, shops, someone in front of you, being patient in traffic. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. It's the love behind it.
Yeah, that's good.
So see if you can find something and see if we can share it next week, and if it's big, great.
That's good.
Because if we can start, because as you can see what the result of what Paul has done here, Maybe not everybody heard about it, but it made its way onto a national TV program. So if we start to be like that by habit,
Yeah.
start in this town,
Yeah.
people will say those people at Hope are different.
That's right.
Look what they do. They might actually listen to us. They might
Yeah.
want to start coming, which is not about us. We can point them to where it's all about, where it's all from. They might listen to what we have to say about Jesus.
Spread some grace. Spread some grace.
Grace and grace, thank you. So just on that verse about no money, in Acts, Peter said, silver and gold I do not have. We can relate to that, I'm sure many of us. But what I do have, I give to you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. Now, if God's telling you to do that and give someone a miracle, go for it. But there's even more that we can read out of that. He didn't have money. It's not about giving money all the time. What did Peter give? He gave words of life. He gave encouragement, hope. He did love. So I believe, and many people believe it, there's so much going on because I think we're on the cusp of something big. God is about to do something, and He was just trying to take us all off track. Trying to have us all worry about what's going on in our lives and bring us down. Like I was saying before, let's look past what's going on like now around us and just keep looking down the road. We don't necessarily know what it's going to look like. It's probably just little lights at the moment, but I think something big's coming. So we need to be ready. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for these people. Thank you for everybody who's hearing these messages today. And I just pray you would help us take it on board, help us to practice. It's not a new message, but it's one I think we can all benefit by hearing again and again, because we just forget. The circumstances and urgent and important things come up, and it's easy to forget that you're in control. A lot of these things in the scheme of life won't matter. They may need our attention right now, but we can still be loving. We need your grace and help to do this, and we just pray you to pour it down. Help us and all of your people in this area be vessels of your love. Let's help us to stir it all up that people will turn and change their mind. The negativity associated with church and Christianity will change. People come to you. We pray these things in Jesus' name, and the church said, Amen. Thank you.